everybody. Today we're going to be talking about graphing linear equations. We're starting today's lesson by building off of the last thing. Like always, math is always building off of the previous topic. The last thing we learned about was rate of change and average rates of change and finding the slope. I've been saying that these things relate directly to graphing, and now we're going to see how. Well, the rate of change is something that happens either over an hour. In some of those examples from yesterday, it was from 3 o'clock to 6 o'clock. Those were the x's. So when the rate of change and the x multiply each other, the answer that you get from that is going to be the output, which is the y. So the equation that you normally see when you're first graphing is going to look like y is equal to the slope times x. This is the most basic formula. The most basic form of y equals the slope times x that you can have. The easiest one you can have would be y equals x. That just means that y will be equal to whatever x is. This super basic equation has a special name, and that is the parent linear function. It's called the parent because every other version of a linear equation is some modification, or the math word for modification is a transformation of that. The only things that you can change, if you simplify and distribute everything, all linear equations can look like y equals the slope times x plus some number. This is called slope intercept form. And you might have seen this middle one in 7th grade last year. Maybe you saw this, but we definitely talk about this as regular 8th grade math in Texas. But since you're doing algebra, this is called the slope-intercept form. And the reason that is because this right here is the slope. The letter M is what we use for slope. The reason why we use M for slope and not S for slope is because S in physics is used for speed or position, depending on your textbook. B is the y-intercept. So then once again reviewing, we were used to finding the slope. You know how to find the slope. If all that you do is multiply that slope by any x, if all you do is multiply a slope by the x, it's going to change whatever x was, and it's going to make a new number that's going to be the y. The last part of that summary is every possible linear equation is going to simply be some version of this. You would put a number for slope, and you would put a number that's adding or subtracting, and that's going to be the y-intercept. And if you multiply the slope by x, and then add whatever random number they gave you, that's going to give you the y. And once you have your x and your y, then you can graph. So now let's do some examples.